Welcome to Reread. Today I have 3 issues of the Marvel comic book series I want to go over, issues 74 through 76. And 74, this is the Escalon story. This is the beautiful water planet. And it starts off unintentionally hilarious where Luke is saying, wow, from a desert, I grew up on a desert planet. To see so much water in one place is amazing. It's almost like a dream come true. Can you believe this, Leia? And Leia plays Debbie Downer and goes, yes, it's just as beautiful as Alderaan, which is no more because the Empire blew it up. And Luke's like, oh, I'm sorry, Leia. Thanks for ruining it. Seriously, that's what she says. As Luke's enjoying the water, she can be nothing but just pine over Alderaan, which at this point has been gone for at least 3 years, if not more. Leia, get over it. That's what Luke should have said, but I mean, this is a comic book, so they're not going to do that. Now, it's funny because they meet these underwater people. I can't remember what the purpose was, but they're going through a water tunnel. It's clear of water. It's just an air tunnel through the water and talking to the water creatures who are swimming next to them by the tunnel. And there's a few other guests walking around, and there's obviously a very conspicuous person with goggles and a helmet who's seen lingering around and kind of hanging out with them. And when the fish people say, hey, well, let's talk about the Empire and whatever, because the Empire is on the planet, but they don't know the rebels are there. And they're like, oh, well, we don't feel safe talking in the open like this. And he goes, don't worry, it's fine. They're like, okay. And the guy with the goggles and the helmet is still behind him. It's like you want to look at him and go, you want to go somewhere, dude? No, they say it all in front of him. And of course, he's a spy because he goes, I must tell, the Empire, the rebels are here. Good job, everyone. I should also mention that this is where Luke learns to swim underwater. One of the older aliens teach him how to swim, and boy, does he take off by the end of this comic series, because now he becomes an expert swimmer by the end of it. But anyway, it ends up with a missile hitting the base and basically flooding the tunnels. And oh no, Luke and Leia are trapped, and that's kind of how it ends. Always ends on a cliffhanger. Issue 75 shows, and he was in the last issue too, but Admiral Tower, and he has one eye replaced as it looks like a little targeting scope. And I was like, oh, that's cool. What are they going to do with that? Nothing. That's just his look. I thought, well, can he, is it a cybernetic eye where he can, target something and, maybe paint the target and have some missiles from the ship attack it? But no, nothing that cool. They just said, hey, let's give him one eye that looks like, maybe just contacts, maybe it looks like a target. Okay. But this one's on Lando and Chewie, as Lando he puts on a hat and a cape and an eye patch, and he is now Captain Drebble, someone who he'll go by several times in this comic book. So he tries to pretend he's Captain Drebble, a spice dealer or whatnot, and he's looking to buy some droids at a good deal. And what do you say? We can make a deal, you and me. And he's got his arm around the Admiral. He's like, sure, Captain Drebble, I guess that's fine. You can go on my deck, and they're looking for a particular droid to take with them. But anyway, as they leave, the Admiral goes, they're rebels, right? And he goes, oh yeah, they're rebels. He went, okay, tag them, follow them, and see what they're up to, and then bring them in for questioning. It didn't even fool the Admiral, which I thought was really good. Remember, at this point, Mary Jo Duffy is writing this, and some people hate on her, but I think she had a lot of good ideas here. In fact, just having the Admiral just know right off the bat that this is not Captain Drebble, this has got to be a rebel just faking it. That's just great. But anyway, this one ends with Luke saving Leia from the tunnel. It kind of flashes back to Escalon. And like I said, he's an expert swimmer at this point. Gets her all the way to the surface. They breathe air. They find out that they discover that Kendall, the girl who they kind of rescued in the first issue or the previous issue, is the traitor. She was the one that sent the Empire here. And now the Empire is attacking the city because rebels are on their way. And I guess she was the person with the helmet and the goggles, but that looked like an actual human. It didn't look like one of the fish alien creatures, so a little confusing there. But either way, now we go into issue 76. Now, this is pretty awesome because, of course, Admiral Tower captures Lando and Chewie. Luke and Leia fight off an invasion on Escalon. Vader finds out that Tower has been, keeping secrets from him, and, because Tower wants to deal with it himself, like capture these rebels and get a reward. But Vader's upset that he didn't know Luke was on Escalon, and Admiral Tower's probably going to screw it up. So he orders the droid that Lando and Chewie are trying to get, who works for the Empire. I don't get this, but I don't know why they were trying to get him. But anyway, the droid comes up and goes, "You are under arrest, Admiral." He said, "By whose authority? You're just a droid." He goes, Lord Vader's. He goes, Lord Vader's? And the stormtroopers go, Lord Vader? And then the next scene, they're all like guns pointed at him. You're under arrest, Admiral. Sorry, this comes from Lord Vader. I thought that was really neat. There is a brutal scene in this where, and by the way, the rebels get away, but Chewbacca grabs the head of a stormtrooper, and then it shows him twist it, like he's got one hand on his shoulder, one hand on his thing, and he twists his neck, and it like pops, like it goes crack, and he breaks his neck. I'm like, what? That's pretty violent. I didn't know that was in there, but yeah, one moment his hand's on here, another hand on his shoulder, and then it just crack, and then he just drops. I was like, oh my goodness. So Chewie just really getting rough with these stormtroopers are violent. So that was kind of wild that was in there. But overall, it's a decent story. As I said before when I read this the first time, Escalon wasn't my favorite story, but it was enjoyable. You got to pick your battles here, and I'm not going to come down too hard on these comic books, but like I said, they did a few things right with Admiral Tower instantly knowing that is not Captain Drebel. This is just a rebel ruse. That was pretty good. All right, folks. See you next time.